Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. We are on live today, Monday Spotlight. I call it Manifesting Monday. It's really the Monday Spotlight. And we are here with Marci Zavala today. So Marci, I believe I already told you that we stream to a number of places live.
Mm-hmm.
And then later this will go on Instagram, and I'm figuring out how to put pieces on LinkedIn. So we are on my personal Facebook page. We are on my business Facebook page, my private group, and YouTube. So, everyone. So I find it really fun when we give some time for everyone to come on, but then to talk about you're going to be in a lot of places, and we really want to spotlight you because you have something to give that is worth talking about, and I want to share you. So we will go ahead and get started. And I usually like to talk a little bit to let people come on live. And I know you can't see who is on right now. That's only on my screen. So I will share with you. And if we have any comments, I like to interact, and we'll go ahead and do that as well.
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So everyone, this is Marci Zavala, and hi, thanks for joining. So this is Marci Zavala, nutritionist, physical therapist, and Marci and I have just recently met, and we recently met over the phone through this COVID and all this stuff that's happening. Maybe there'd be networking events, or maybe if I was trying out jiu-jitsu, we would see each other at that point. But we met through mutual friend, first Scott Coleman. So Scott, I don't know if you're coming on, put your comment, say hi in the comments. But we met through Scott Coleman. Fantastic gentleman. And then after Marci and I got to talking on the phone, we realized that we also have a mutual friend, Rob Wolf and Nikki Violetti. And so this is Rob's second book, right? This is his second book, YOTE, which is a great book. And Marci is featured in this book as well in the back. Well, you're thanked. Is that acknowledged? Do you have an acknowledgement?
We trained jiu-jitsu for a while together, and we were good training partners because we lived near each other. So we trained jiu-jitsu together for quite a while.
Perfect. Wow. Yeah, they're amazing. So, you build relationships, but we do have that in common as well, those friends as well. So she's acknowledged in here, and I think that's amazing, you guys. And so that's how Marci and I know each other. And I got talking with her on the phone, and I looked up her website, and I see what she has to offer. And I talked to her, and I said, hey, why don't I bring you on my platforms and let's spotlight you and promote you and what you have to offer. So that's how I know Marci. And why don't I hand it off to you, and why don't you tell everybody what you do and why you do it?
So I'm Marci, and I founded this up-to-date nutrition website. Just a lot of it started a long time ago because people kept asking me, well, what's the difference between diet A and diet B? And what's this? And how do I do that? And you seem to be healthy. What are you doing? And so I came up with a website. Prior to that, I have dealt with my own health issues, my dad's health issues, my mom's, my son's. I think everybody kind of has some sort of health issues. And then getting to understand, where food fits in all of that and what the truth is and what the myths are. That's how I came to kind of help people. So I formally started helping people a little over a year or so ago, but informally for about 10 years now. Before that, I've been a physical therapist for 21 years. So that kind of spurred the health part. My husband is an internal medicine physician. He's a DO, so he's very holistic in that sense. And I would help his patients with their nutrition. So it kind of started snowballing. And I'm in the process of writing a book that explains the difference between all the diets and, what the truth is, what the myths are, and, how do you take that information and apply it to yourself. So I'm writing the book just because it's not out there. So actually talking with Rob, I thought maybe I needed to get more formal education. And he's like, I don't have the letters. Why do you think you need, are you doing it for the information or are you doing it for the letters? I'm like, well, the letters. He's like, I don't have them. So that's part of it. And just in the process, like I said, it's just kind of been snowballing. So I mostly am a nutritionist now. And, I've gone through so much research and I have a really good base to help people, find those simple solutions for what's going on with their health.
Rob, Marci, I love that. Thank you. Rob did the same thing with me when I first started coaching some years ago. We talked, and thanks for hearting, Brett. Thank you so much. And so Brett, Scott, you can say hi. And Rob said the same thing about me. I said, well, I'm going back to school, and I was actually in the process, and then my mother got sick and life changed. But he said, you may not need all the letters behind your name, so let's talk. Tell us what kind of health issues that you faced with your dad or your family, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I tell people about it all the time. So personally, myself, my health journey kind of began about 11-ish years ago, 11 years ago, where I was going to compete in an Ironman triathlon. And I was told about this new supplement. And it's not even classified as a supplement anymore. It's called Vespa. And it allows you to use your fat for fuel, is their tagline. And I was like, interesting. But I had to eat a higher fat paleo type diet. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. Well, within 3 days, I had better energy. I was sleeping better. My face was clearing up. My mood was becoming better. I mean, just everything. And I was like, hold up. My son just walked in the room. I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Like, nutrition really is going to do all that in that short amount of time. And I relatively ate healthy before this just because I never liked bread, pasta, rice anyways, even as a kid. And intuitively now I can look back and say, well, that was because my body didn't process it well. Because I always felt like it grew in my stomach. And I was just like, I don't want it. It's a filler, which actually is pretty darn true, at least for me. So then I started kind of exploring more about it and learning more about it. Now take back even further, when my oldest son, who's sitting right next to me now, who is 16, when he was born, my dad went in for an elective surgery to supposedly remedy him from getting colon cancer. He actually had ulcerative colitis. He also has Crohn's disease, which was diagnosed as Crohn's in the mid-'80s. They didn't know that much about it back then. Fast forward a year, what was supposed to be a week in the hospital, a month total recovery, a year after he had the initial surgery, roughly. And the only reason I know is because then it was at my son's first birthday. He was on a ventilator because the surgeries kept getting botched. He kept having problems creating fistulas, wasn't healing. He was on what's called TPN. So you get fed through your veins for a year and a half. He looked like a Holocaust victim by the time he had gotten off the TPN. And the doctors were only like, it's medication. You need medication. There's nothing else you can do. Well, back in the mid-'80s, they did tell him to cut out, all of the stuff that he would have by his chair, which was like the popcorn, pretzels, peanuts, things like that he would snack on. And they didn't really know why. They knew it helped, but they didn't really truly understand it back in the mid-'80s like they do now. So fast forward back towards, I want to say maybe about 5-6 years after the surgery from being on the ventilator. 9 surgeries, by the way. It took him 9 surgeries before he was somewhat healed up. Like, he still doesn't produce his own red blood cells. He still has digestive issues and things like that because he doesn't have majority of his colon. So there's a lot of ramifications with that. I was hounding him to try to go gluten-free. And he finally was like, fine, I'll do it. He was not really excited about it. Midwestern, he lives in Illinois, was that typical diet. Within 2 weeks, he stopped bleeding. So with ulcerative colitis, you're going to, bleed. He's like, oh my gosh, I went to the doctor and I told him, like, he used to call me the Wicked Witch of the West because I'm like, you have to change your diet. And he did. And he's like, I told the GI doctors, I was like, yeah, the bleeding all but stopped. It was like unbelievable. And this is a man who would have to go get blood transfusions every 3 months also get iron injections every 2 to 3 months just because his body doesn't produce it and he's losing it. And the GI doctor told him, oh, that's good. I'm glad that's working for you. It's like, what? I mean, are you kidding me? So, now he's a believer, although he's gone through some other health issues. And he's kind of like, the gluten-free thing didn't work for me. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So if you struggle with your own family, I've, so
what exactly did he change? He just went gluten-free, or did he do paleo, or just gluten-free?
Just gluten-free. And right now, actually, I just had a phone call with him a couple of days ago where I'm like, okay, Dad, I think you actually might need to go carnivore, because he already doesn't, like anybody who's got Crohn's disease doesn't basically digest vegetables already. I'm like, I'd like you to go a stage of carnivore that you might have a couple pieces of fruit. He's like, I could do that. I'm like, get rid of the bread. Please just get rid of the bread.
Yeah, and then he's doing so well, no more bleeding, and he tells the doc, and the doc's like, well, that's great. Like, what? No, don't you want to know more? Like, don't you want to help your other patients?
They didn't care.
That's where Rob was talking about the healthcare system. So thanks, Kimberly. We just got a thumbs up for Kimberly. You guys, thanks so much for joining. Marci has a lot of great stuff to say and experience, and especially with her family. I find that we learn so much, and every expert and any expert that I talk to has either worked on themselves or someone very close to them.
Yeah, right? Very true. Very true. And then my youngest son and I are both dairy-free, gluten-free. Just kind of figured it out. Like my youngest, when he was born, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't nurse him. And he would just but it was what I was eating, but we didn't know that 14 years ago. We didn't know.
Right.
So, he's actually slowly healing. So I've pulled him off of so much stuff for so long. His gut is actually finally healing, and he's able to manage some dairy now. So.
Okay. Yeah. You're handling with your family. So why don't I know that you mentioned the book, and then when we talked about it, you were saying that you didn't realize when you jumped into the project, which, I've never done anything like that before or anybody watching, right? You didn't realize how complicated it actually started to get, because and I don't know this, I'm going off of your word. I haven't come across this, but there aren't any books that actually talk about all the different kind of diets. And then, with the research and to back it up with the science and everything. So right. I know you touched on it, but can you just a little bit elaborate, and then we can tell everybody what you have to offer.
Okay, so basically what happened is over the years, I've collected so many different books that I could give out to friends, family, patients, clients that will help explain the diet I think they need. But I have got such a huge collection of them. And I wanted one that had everything in it, so I could just refer one thing to people instead of this book and this is it, and it just didn't exist. So that's what kind of gave me the idea. So I'm like, well, okay, and then I guess I'll just write it. And then I got into it, and I literally started in, and then it sat for 6 months because I was like, this is really overwhelming. And I remember talking with Rob going, I really have a whole new appreciation for somebody who writes, and then an even more appreciation for somebody who writes that has to reference everything. Because I've probably got 500 references right now, and I only cover, for the most part, 7 to 8 diets. So it's a big tackling. Like I just finished re-editing the specific carbohydrate diet chapter, and that was it was one of the easier ones. The plant-based one was pretty hard to do. So it's hard to go in and really separate out, because mainstream media doesn't always tell you the truth. And a lot of the health coaches and especially dietitians, I know 2 dietitians, and that's after having worked in a hospital for 17 years, 2 dietitians who get it. So it's been tough. It's been tough to really weed through everything and find the truth.
And you worked in the hospital doing physical therapy then?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
No, just physical therapy.
Right, for 21 years. So, okay.
I was in the hospital for about 17, 18 years. Yeah.
Well, in addition, or you mean doing the physical therapy?
Yeah, so I was in the hospital as a physical therapist between rehab and inpatient for about 17, 18 years.
Okay.
So.
Right. And you're still doing it now, but just with private clients. And
Correct.
really you focus now, you're also focusing on your nutrition coaching.
Correct.
So really quickly, why don't you tell us about, I know you said about 7. What are those 7? And then we'll talk about what you're really focusing on right now with the nutrition.
Okay. So the diets I cover are the standard American diet or the Western diet. That has a lot of pages. I think most people know that it's not healthy, but they don't realize that when you even take down like My Plate or the food pyramid about how unhealthy it really is, even if you went by those standards. So we're not even talking Twinkies and Ho-Hos. We're talking like what they actually recommend. It's actually pretty unhealthy. Paleo, there's all the plant-based diets. So vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, all of the variations of that. There's autoimmune protocol or autoimmune paleo, depending upon how you want to go at it. Specific carbohydrate, low carbohydrate, blood type diet, Mediterranean diet. And then I do a chapter for kids. And then I also have a chapter about lab values that I had my husband help me write. So it talks about, when your doctor is looking for lab values, what is it that he's looking at and why can you not just single one lab value out? Like thyroid is the biggest one. People are like, well, what's your thyroid number? Well, you can't just go off of that. It's so interwoven with everything else. And that's what most people are kind of missing.
It's true. And I didn't realize that until my mom got cancer in 2016 when I dove into more information. And I went, whoa, like you actually need a lot more than just one lab test.
Yeah.
I know, I love how you said the standard American diet, and maybe some people on here know that that's actually, stands for SAD. And then what's recommended, like there's so much more. Yeah. I really want your book. So when it comes out, let me know. So
yeah, and if anybody has any suggestions, because I have got so many different book names out there that go through my brain, right now the latest one is going to be called Pandora's Diet, just because it is opening up Pandora's box. So
it sure is. It sure is. Well, then why don't we? I love it. Let me know when it comes out, and I will. Definitely, I want a copy, and then we can, see if anyone else on here wants a copy. So let us know, Marci. I know that we talked about you focusing on your nutrition coaching now. So tell us a little bit about that, and then how anyone can find you.
Okay, so you guys have the website that's on. I think they see it. And if you go to that, there's a little tab there. It's one-on-one coaching. And I offer different things. Like if you're really not sure and you're kind of like, does she really know what she's talking about? There's a Nutrition 101 webinar on there that you can purchase. And that basically is the Cliff Notes version of what my book will be. And then I do where I can do meal planning for somebody. But the big one that I usually do, and this is the one that I mostly do, is a monthly coaching. So what I do is I go through and it's about an hour and a half intake. I found out what all your history is. There's my other son. Pick it up. It's about an hour and a half interview intake where I find out all your history, what your diet has been like, what you want to be, what your goals are, what your allergies are, what potential. And then I go through and I figure out what diet actually would be best for you. Most people are a little surprised because some people have it in their mind that I want to be this. And then I'm like, I don't think that one's going to really work for you because of X, Y, and Z. Let's do this instead first. And then they're like, okay, I feel totally so much better. I'm like, yeah, you needed more of this. You needed less of that. And then that's so individualized because not one diet fits everybody. So, and then, I do have some people who are still very plant-based, and I educate them as much as possible on what they would be missing out if they did remove all animal products, because that is a big missing link with the push right now towards plant-based diets, is that animal products provide stuff that plants just can't. So that's what I do. I go in and I do, it's very individualized. It's very one-on-one, and you've got me for a solid month. Ask as many questions as you need. You send me what you want, and I tailor it. Some people want to just kind of like I'll give them like the ball and say, okay, this is what you need to do. And they're like, I'm good. That's it. And then I have other people that will email me daily and say, what about this? What about that? What about this? And we do that too.
So you completely cater, you make,
Yep.
you tailor a system for everyone, because you're right. Not all of our bodies are the same.
Right.
And I tried plant-based, and I need animal product. It just works for me.
Right.
But I love it. Okay, so you tailor to everyone
I
their
do.
unique system. They can go on your website. It's here. You guys can see that now. And then I also put in the information. So it's uptodatenutrition.com.
Right.
It is, and it's Marci Zavala.
Marci Zavala.
Exactly. And so let me make sure that we are not missing anything. We talked about, yeah, so that's what you're offering right now. And you work with people, so even just for a month, and some people will continue and others just need about a month.
Correct. Okay. And then, I do have an email list. So when you go to that website, when you go to my website, like on a desktop, I think it's on the right. That probably looks like I'm doing something different on the computer screen. There's a sign up form for my email list, and that's the best way to do it. And since September is my birthday month, I'm doing a ton of giveaways this September. A lot of it's going to be the new Element electrolyte. They have been so generous with giving me so much. I'm going to give back. I am actually raffling off a book tomorrow, the Sacred Cow book that Rob wrote. I'm raffling off that one tomorrow, actually giving it away tomorrow. But you have to be on my email list. That's the only way to be involved with any of my giveaways. And this September, I'm going to be doing a lot of giveaways.
So you guys get on Marci's email list, and you can click on the link. In this picture, you can't click on that link, but I put the link in the information. Just click on that. Sacred Cow, great book. And then Element, I use that daily.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, daily. 99% of the time,
Yeah.
But I love it. And that's the electrolytes, and it's clean. There's none of the other junk that is added, so hop on Marci's email list and get those free items.
Yeah. And I don't work with just adults. It's athletes. So I know how to tailor to athletes. I'm an athlete myself. Any kind of medical conditions, I know how to tailor to medical conditions, even ones that are really like you wouldn't even imagine. With like POTS is one that comes to mind. It's a postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome. I know how to work with the geriatric population, with people with no teeth. It's like I know how to get in that. So it's not just for a specific population, too. Awesome. And kids. I do work with a lot with kids and how to. Oops. My kid, I just dropped something.
Yeah, it happens. Absolutely. So
yeah,
POTS. Say that again. What is it that stand for?
Oh, POTS, the postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome. So it's when their blood pressure bottoms out with their heart rate going really high. And there's specific ways to address that.
Oh, wow. Okay. I won't even because we'll start talking for another half an hour.
Actually, if you look on the Element, the most recent, one of the Element things on Facebook, they actually talk about it. I'm like, I know exactly what that is.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I will have you explain that to me later. So is there anything else that you want to add before we say goodbye to everybody? And
just reach out to me if you have any questions. You can reach out to me on Facebook on my Up to Date Nutrition site. You can do it under my personal page I keep private. So if you want to really get a much quicker answer, go to the Facebook Up to Date Nutrition. I'm on Instagram, same thing, Up to Date Nutrition. I am on LinkedIn. I'm not super active there. And I have a YouTube channel, same name, Up to Date Nutrition. Everything is under Up to Date Nutrition. And I'm here in Reno, Nevada. So there's a good chance if you do live here and you want to get some nutrition that we might be able to meet up somewhere. And we can do the face-to-face interview. Otherwise, I usually do the interviews via FaceTime or through Messenger.
Perfect. I love it. I didn't put your link to the Facebook business, the Up to
all the same name.
Okay, I will put that on there after we get off. So thank you everybody for joining. Marci, thank you so much. Stay on. I'm going to wrap it up here, but you can say goodbye to everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you guys.
And I'm going to put the link to Marci's business page on Facebook as well. I missed that one. So thanks you guys. I'll see you later. Thanks for joining. See you soon.